Hello and welcome to the 90th episode of Rambling Weekly. Sorry I missed last week. I was a bit tuckered out. That's the only way I can put it. I was having a little bit of a conniption fit, and I just couldn't quite gather the resources, gather the fortitude to put something together. And I'm trying this week, and I seem to be having a bit of a stumbling block as well, and maybe because of the topic I want to cover. So, we'll see. Anyway, hi, how you doing? Hope all is well. I've been fairly busy with work, getting some good paychecks out of it. So I guess that's at least a benefit from being hyper busy. But yeah, so I've been working a whole bunch. I am taking over DM duties for this group that we play tabletop stuff. Oh, like every other week. So I am taking over starting next week. Not next week. Next week. Well, by the time this comes out, depending on technically if you're considering Sunday the start of the week, sometime soon. In the month. In the middle of the month of August. In the year of our Lord 2024. So, yeah. So it will be something that hopefully won't tucker me out too much. It'll be nice to kind of scratch that itch and see how that goes. Because I've tried to do tabletop stuff before, and did one or two. I've probably done it a couple times, but I know one in particular I'm thinking of. I only got to do it once, and then just for whatever reason, probably something on my end, because I have this knack of just being like, this is a little too much for me. The end. So, I don't know. I get that way with people as well. Not that it's like. I guess it's the social battery, right? Social battery is depleted. And I just don't have it in me to do that. I don't know. There's a lot of, I think, see, if you followed the channel for any amount of time, or just talk to me after a bit of time, I just kind of will be like, I'm just gonna do something else for a while. It's just what I do. Yeah, don't know what that is outside of just being like, I'm just checking out. So, yeah, so got that. I am recording this a day early, actually, but I have the next part for Fire Emblem, Genealogy of the Holy War. I've got it written up, I just need to record it. I have been without central air and stuff for 2 weeks, and of course it's been like more on the toastier side of things for the last 2 weeks. So my chances to record have been a little difficult to put together, we'll say. Thankfully this weekend it's nice and cool, comparatively so I will get that situated. It doesn't help that my room, for whatever reason, just has absolutely dreadful insulation, so it'll get cold in winter and it'll get toasty and hot and muggy and stuff during summer. So gotta love it, but yeah. So that what else has been going on? Nothing too much else to report. Like I said, it's just been a good deal of work. I actually blitzed through the parts for the chapters for part 4 a couple weeks ago, and I still really haven't had a chance to play more in it because I got to record the stuff and put the video together and whatnot. I think I might have mentioned it before, but I only have so much room on my hard drives and stuff. I can't quite get to that point where it's like, I can just record and have a whole bunch of new videos and stuff because I have the ability to squirrel away all of that data. Nope. I don't have that. I don't think I've really played terribly much else. I've kind of been dabbling a little bit in Caves of Qud. That's close to about it. Maybe not fully. I mean, yeah, that's really. I haven't played any Dark Souls 1 in a while. Yeah, it's been on the lighter end of things. I think part of that's also because I want to play Fire Emblem, but because I'm trying to record stuff, I'm like, I guess I'll just be in a holding pattern for that. Been reading the Strasslers. It's somewhere. It's like the Strasslers complete guide for Thucydides. I got it hiding over here. Let's see. It says it's The Landmark Thucydides by Robert E. Strassler. Oh my dear heavens! Timeout. All right, time back in. But oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh phooey. Oh well. Okay. But yeah, no, that's been, I guess, on the plate for the last little bit. A lot of work, and then just kind of keeping up, tidying on things, starting to take over for Dion stuff, reading Robert Strassler's The Landmark Thucydides. I should say Robert B. Strassler. So yeah, that's about the extent of it. So yeah, the end. Or not. Oh my goodness. All right, I think it is done. Gracious. Anyways, yeah, I think that's it. So, time for the topic at hand. Like everything, it's try to piece together a very, very big topic and just kind of smush it down into a very, very bite-sized 30 minutes or so. I'm going to talk about forgiveness, the act of forgiving. And what does that mean? Because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of forgiveness, at least what gets presented out there, comes off as being very flippant, to where it's like, just forgive yourself and just go on, and then you forgive yourself and you can go and do the thing and whatnot. Then yeah, well, let's dive into this. So what does it mean to forgive? So I want to look at two different examples of what they say. Merriam-Webster, for example, uses it as a transitive verb, which means to cease to feel resentment against an offender, pardon, forgive one's enemies. 2. A. To give up resentment of or claim to requital for example, forgive an insult. Or 2B, to grant relief from a payment of, for example, forgive a debt. Yeah, so that's that. A different one here. The dictionary.cambridge.org says that it is to stop blaming or being angry with someone for something that person has done, or not punish them for something. Examples here: forgive someone for something or doing something. I don't think she's ever quite forgiven me for getting her name wrong that time, or I'd never forgive myself if anything happened to the kids. So a couple different definitions there. The Cambridge one is a little bit more accusatory, we'll say. Whereas the I would say the Merriam-Webster one kind of is a little bit more inwardly, if that makes any sense, because it's to cease the feeling of resentment against an offender. So yeah, that is forgive. And then what is forgiveness? To take from Oxford Languages, forgiveness is the act or process of forgiving or being forgiven. Some similar ones: exoneration, absolution, remission, dispensation, indulgence, understanding, tolerance, purgation, clemency, mercy, pity, lenience, quarter, reprieve, pardon. I don't know why I'm just saying it like that, but whatever. But that is what we are. When we look up those definitions, that is what we get a lot of, is this act to absolve some sort of wrong or perceived wrong, some sort of unapproved act. I find it really interesting if you go into, say, just like Wikipedia and look up forgiveness, that there's a rather lengthy, comprehensive look at it, because it is a very independently nebulous concept. Because some people might have a very just boom. It is just the act of forgiving somebody of their acts. So for example, here it says that forgiveness, in a psychological sense, is the intentional and voluntary process by which one who may have felt initially wronged, victimized, harmed, or hurt goes through a process in changing feelings and attitude regarding a given offender for his or her actions, and overcomes the impact of the offense, flaw, or mistake, including negative emotions such as resentment or a desire for vengeance. Now that's a little bit more involved than these other definitions that we were given there, and then it gets into the psychological sense, and I think I've made mention of it before, but if not, I'll say it here. I'm not a big fan of the psychology, because I think it is a little it's a little too brush strokey. Sure, there are certain inclinations you can kind of parse out through certain things, but you don't know what lies in the hearts of men, kind of thing. We don't have that. There's no way to just be like, oh, I know exactly what this person's thinking. So for example, like even with best friends or something like that, you could be having a good time, but you don't know exactly what it is that's going on in that think box, and that that might make me seem kind of either psychotic or paranoid, but less that, more of like, I'm not going to sit there and bother with trying to parse out and figure out what somebody's got going on in the brain, and I don't think most people would either, outside of they see an act, thus they attribute that act to some sort of forethought. So for example, this morning I actually went to the grocery store, and I had a brief moment as I had left and was down the road and everything. I was like, did I remember to put the cart in the little cart corral thing? And then I was like, oh wait, no, I did. Phew, thank goodness. But more to the point though, is if I, for whatever reason, in my absent-mindedness, maybe I think I was just kind of thinking about some other things going on. If I had accidentally left that elsewhere, and somebody saw me, and then been like, that schmuck, what a jerk, he didn't even, take it to the cart corral that was literally 20 feet away. Um, we have this bad habit of any act that's done that there's some forethought. We don't like to give contrition to the fact that, oh, maybe they just had they got something on their mind, or maybe they got they're being a little absent-brained. Maybe they just completely zoned out and was like, okay, I'm good. Vroom, off we go. So we have that sort of attitude a lot. Of course, then we, on the backside of it, whenever we do something wrong, we either get concerned because we're like, oh no, nobody will forgive us. We can't even be, can't even get this situated, blah 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 blah, or that you just hope for clemency in the public court. Please forgive me. But I wanted to talk about this a bit because you see also a lot of the again, I'll go through some of these quotes here that I was looking at, but you see a lot of people struggling with either guilt that they have for just mucking up something from their past life, or just thinking about how they could have done things a little bit differently to be like, oh man, my life would be so much better had I done this, instead of going and thinking, yeah, sure, you can reflect on that. I don't think there's anything unhealthy about reflection on those sorts of things. But it's like reflection, but then being like, okay, I could have done better there, but I'm going to do better now. And so you get these. This is being pulled from a random site called goalcast.com, and I don't know, this was written back in September 14th 2022, and just listen to this language by this writer, Flavia Medrut. If I could learn how to talk. Forgiveness is clearly a voluntary act. After someone hurts us, forgiveness is something we choose to do when we are ready to move on, or when the love in our heart speaks louder than temporary hate. Pause. So I think this is an important thing. The clearly a voluntary act. I think that is important. We can't just simply. It's a choice that we always have to make to forgive and whatnot, and I think when we start to steer into the flippant, happens precisely because we sort of have a lot of dialogue, a lot of things out there to be like saying that, forgive yourself and move on and stuff. And certainly, yeah, you can tell yourself that, but there's more to it than just simply the act and just doing that. And I think, sure, it talks about when love in our hearts speaks louder than temporary hate. I don't think it's not necessarily a love and hate sort of thing. And I don't quite agree with it being something that we choose to do when we're ready to move on. Or maybe I'm the one that's wrong all about this, because it also specifies that it's like when someone hurts us, that it's and I think that's on point, right? It's not really in our place one way or the other to try to forgive something that we're not a party to. I think that's kind of a hard thing to be like, oh, you can kind of spend that currency very easily and very flippantly and just be like, whatever. But you're not going through that emotional, psychological work, so I don't think it is quite as important. Not important. That's not quite as character building, we'll say. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little too stuck on when we're ready to move on part. However, I don't think it's necessarily a love and hate sort of thing. Um, I think that's kind of boiling it down a little too, a little too basically, a little too basic. Because I think that's a, I don't know. I don't quite like that, but that's fine. In a world where being out for revenge seems to be more at hand and appears to bring greater satisfaction, they say it takes courage and strength to do it, as in forgiveness. And I could see that. We tend to have a perception of things where it's like, get take care of yourself, get your things, do the you things and whatnot. And this sort of reflects, and I know a couple people I've talked to about this. When growing up, we were always told, better the things around you, and now, or better yourself. And now it's like better the things around you. And the bettering yourself part, you kind of have to work through a forgiveness internally. And now it's all like, do the things outside. I totally botched that, but what I'm getting at is, so basically, it used to be, better yourself to better the world. Now it's better everything around you because you're fine as you are yourself. Whether or not that's quite the message that's still being thrown out there, you see it every now and again, but I know I would see it a little bit with stuff on like TV shows and stuff when my younger siblings were growing up and whatnot. It always was like, because I think if you don't go through that internal process to figure that out, it makes it infinitely more difficult to try to do that for something else. Because if you won't ever forgive yourself, I think we become very flippant in trying to forgive everything that everybody else does. Because we don't quite go through the process of understanding exactly what forgiveness is. To continue on here, an eye for an eye is a reaction to being hurt physically or emotionally. The need for retaliation poisons our minds, and it takes hard work to finally be able to say, I forgive you. And I would agree with that. That borrows from the biblical line there, an eye for an eye, tooth for the tooth. Leave the world blind and toothless. Paraphrasing that, I don't remember the exact quote for it, but and the need for retaliation poisons our mind. That's kind of similar to like anger and vengeance is a poison that does more harm in the vessel than it does being poured out, kind of thing. To paraphrase another quote from somebody out there, Mark Twain, cough cough. Anyways, there's a little bit more here. Forgiveness is about letting go of the past, understanding, and then moving on. It's about taking care of your own mental health and setting yourself free. Selfish, maybe, but it's the kind that does good to others too. And see, I don't think that it's not a selfish thing. Because I think this is I was kind of pointing out, is it turns into a personal thing when it's supposed to be an outwardly thing. It's kind of, I think, misses the point with it. And it's about taking care of yourself and setting yourself free, but it's about forgiving people. It works if you are self-blaming for something. At some point, you do have to like that. I can understand. However, that when it's dealing with others that have something to do with you, I don't think that, like, that doesn't do you any good. It's not like I've seen it in certain other instances where they talk about how it can be possibly freeing because it allows you not to dwell on those things any longer. I guess I'm just too stupid. Like, I can have about 3 thoughts in my head at any given time, and that's if I'm holding on really tight to 2 of them. I'm like, I guess, oh, I guess I am very much, like, I didn't evolve past object permanence like an infant there, so it's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing for me. So I'm kind of like, ugh. But the plus, I would say the just the how it's phrased, letting go of the past, understanding, and then moving on. I think the order of operations is wrong in there. Forgiveness is about understanding, and moving on, and then letting go of the past. I mean, not necessarily even letting go of the past, because it shouldn't really like that should not be a part of that. Like, that's I mean, I get it if we want to go back into to cease the feeling of resentment, but it's an I guess if anything it's more of just the emotionally charged aspect of it, right? But yeah. So let's dive into some of these quotes here, because along with this little bit that was written, there are a bunch of quotes, and I'm not going to read all of them, but we'll just kind of go through this. So for one, forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning, and that's by Desmond Tutu. So forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning. I think that one's a nice neutral way of allowing opportunity without it coming, it is trying to shed the feelings of resentment or that sort of energy, that tightening grip of looking back and stuff. But it's also, in a way, it's nebulous enough that it's not just simply saying you are giving this other person a chance. It could also be in reading it reflecting as to you yourself, the reader, that you as well are given another chance to make a new beginning, because it's with any interaction with another person, takes 2 to tango. So from Mark Twain here, forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heels of its... That is not Mark Twain. I think that's Oscar Wilde, ain't it? No, it is Mark Twain. Okay. Nope. Alright, feel better. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. For some reason I thought that was Oscar Wilde, but oh well. That is a good way of putting it. Is that despite the pain caused, there's something like, despite that pain, kind of like the flower growing out of the concrete and stuff, despite the situation, something pleasant has arisen from it. Here's one that I don't agree with, because I think that, like, I get the attitude for it, but in the same hand, I think this sort of muddies what forgiveness really is. Forgive others, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace, from Jonathan Lockwood Huey. And I think that really disgraces what forgiveness is. Because that's not... Yeah, this, it turns it into the personal thing. You deserve peace. Kind of spinning back to an old episode that I had done about dulling the edge. Like, I think you can find peace in other things. Like, find peace taking a nice walk. Find peace eating an enjoyable piece of delicious cheesecake. Yeah. Let's see here from Jody Picoult. Forgiving isn't something you do for someone else. It's something you do for yourself. Once again, instead of trying to be the act of trying to forgive somebody else's act, it's now turning back to yourself, which to me, I think, really points to a very strong narcissistic twinge. How about tinge? That we have fostered in the States for a very long time. Yeah. But anyways, I'll say this again from Jody Picoult. Forgiving isn't something you do for someone else. It's something you do for yourself. It's saying you're not important enough to have a stranglehold on me. It's saying you don't get to trap me in the past. I am worthy of a future. And this certainly, I guess, could apply if it is self-forgiveness. So I should state that, and not just simply all forgiveness kind of thing. But I mean, I get it, because it's, you're letting, if you're letting resentment and stuff get to you, and maybe this is where I've have buried enough emotions and stuff to where it doesn't quite hit to me. Plus, I've also had this experience. I think I've mentioned it before, but if not, I remember getting bullied relentlessly in elementary school because of my ear. There were a few different surgeries that I had for it. I'd have to wear a big giant gauze bubble on the side of my head, and it got me called bubble man and bubble boy and stuff like that. So not only was it incensing my rage at having to be called like the lamest robot master from Mega Man 2, it was just a lot of picking on and stuff. But I moved away, and there wasn't ever really any closure to that. But I also, when I moved away, it didn't really happen with the kids there, and it wasn't something. It was different people, and it wasn't something that really kind of came up. They just kind of asked about it, and that was it. And but years down the road, in college, I actually ran into one of the other elementary school kids. Same age and whatnot. And I think I had seen him like a week or two before that, and I was like, oh, that looks like, beep. Not that they need name on blast or anything, but it seems like he's turned into a wonderful husband, father of a couple kids and stuff. Seems like life is doing well for him. I'm happy for him. But at the time, I thought, I was like, oh, this is, and then saw him again a week or two after that first sighting, and then I don't remember if I approached him. I might have, but he may have approached me. I kind of doubt that he would have approached me, but we started talking, and I just was very surprised that to just kind of, it had been 10-ish years, something like that, close to 10, 12 years, and that was very eye-opening for me, because it was like a it was nice to see somebody who wasn't like the most like oh, constantly doing it, but it was somebody who was always seemed to be around to do that sort of thing. But plus, I don't know what his childhood situation was. I don't know what else is going on, and once again, I don't know what's in that person's head. However, we ended up having a pleasant conversation for a little bit, and what about our merry way? And that to me kind of like, it wasn't even any. I guess if that is a way to forgive, it's more of my way of forgiving is just trying to maybe rationalize or understand where somebody's coming from. Like, if I can understand how somebody got to where they were on this sort of thing, I'm a little bit more accepting to be like, oh, that makes sense. Not necessarily that it justifies it, because there's a lot of heinous stuff you could be like, oh, that makes sense, but it's like, no, you don't get no. So but yeah, so it's just it was nice, and it's I don't know if it like had mellowed me out, freed me up, what have you, but it was a nice interaction that, had that not happened, I would probably be much poorer for it. Just in trying to understand things and just trying to, figure out things and see life how I see it now. So let's see here. We get another one here from this TD Jakes. I think the first step is to understand that forgiveness does not exonerate the perpetrator, which, forgiveness liberates the victim. It is a gift to yourself. Once again, we're kind of pushing back into this self bit here. So, from here, from a William Arthur Ward, forgiveness is a funny thing. It warms the heart and cools the sting. I like, I'm going to butcher your name, and I apologize for this, but Debasis Midra. That is, life is too short. I forgive and forget. I have not time to get mad or hate. It's kind of maybe doesn't really quite nail exactly what forgiveness is, but that's kind of my vibe. From Maya Angelou. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. You can't forgive without loving, and I don't mean sentimentality. I don't mean mush. I mean having enough courage to stand up and say, I forgive, I'm finished with it. So from Roberto Assagioli. Without forgiveness, life is governed by an endless cycle of resentment and retaliation. That one, I think we kind of see that a bit. Like I said, I feel like with forgiveness, particularly people who feel like, or at least we'll say, they present this front of easily forgiving oneself of acts for one reason or the other, or how, like, their behaviors or whatnot, seem to be very easily able to bring down the hammer on other people, which to me feels like it tells me that they've not learned forgiveness, but instead of kind of taking the forget route, and it's just like, we're good with this. We tend to have no Like, I know I fall into this sometimes because, I mentioned the thing about the cart, because there'll be times I'll be like, seeing something go on, and it's like, no, rein it back, figure, like, try to be a little bit more, a little bit more understanding of people on that front. That, or even because they have the flippancy of allowing or trying to forgive others of their transgressions and whatnot. From Polybius Cyrus there. How unhappy is he who cannot forgive himself? We can see an awful lot of unhappy people. So it's never going through the act of... And I think that's, I guess I would say is the... If I was to try to thread a needle through... Thread a needle through this whole process, is to that forgiveness is being able to understand and accept that which has transpired, but to not allow it to be that like defining thing. Like I said with the ear thing, I know and this is like my example of living has been used as a as a teaching lesson, I guess you could say, is that as I had gotten older with the ear thing, I was very, very forward and like, hey, get the jokes out now because I've already heard them all. Like, you got something new? Okay, I'll appreciate it because I hadn't heard that one before. But like, it ain't gonna bother me with it. Whatever. Yeah, I that has been used as a hey, don't let other people bully you and whatnot. So I'm happy with that. I don't know where I was going with that. My brain just kind of decided to shut off for a moment and then reboot and be like, where are we at? I think David Small might get it here. To understand somebody else as a human being, I think let me start that over again because I can't talk. To understand somebody else as a human being, I think, is about as close to real forgiveness as one can get. I think that is probably a very strong approximation for how I feel about what forgiveness is. And then we have a lot of just forget from a Gerald Jampolsky. Sorry about that. Forgiveness means letting go of the past. And then Mackenzie Phillips, forgiveness is not to give the other person peace. Forgiveness is for you. Take that opportunity. It just really... I think when we see some of those, particularly that one, we miss the mark on what it's supposed to be about. It is hard for me to just think how that sort of act, while I understand it does have that healing effect, I feel like it misses a mark when it goes that route. But I don't know. If it really does make it feel like it's very hollow when we treat it like that, when we give it this, let's just kind of, wand wave it away for ourselves or for others. I think That's, and when we do that, when we actually put a discerning eye to something, we become incredibly harsh, whether that's to ourselves or to others. And I think that is a most unfortunate thing. So yeah, that is what I've got for today. Please forgive me if that's bad, but please forgive me if I didn't quite get to exactly where I wanted to go with it. I probably will clean up that little phone call portions there, because oh boy. So if there's a little stop gap, you know why. So yeah, that's what I got. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your day, weekday, weekend, weeknight, and everything in between. Outro tune. I did not even think of an outro tune. Oh boy. Oh well, phooey. This is embarrassing. The outro tune will be something really cool and really enjoyable. I totally swear it. Oh boy, I am. You know what? I know what it'll be. It'll be the East versus Soda no Kiseki, the one of the. I don't know if it's. I don't know if they. I think they might have spruced it up for the game. For this game, but it's originally from the 5th Legend of Heroes game. The what the Umi no Oriuta, which is like the it's such a weird, it's like a Sea of the Cage song. Song of the Ocean is what they translated it out to. I mean, yeah, I guess that it's better than what the direct translation is, because it's like a cage song of the ocean. So, which, okay. Anyways, it'll be from that. It's the Limits of Strength. It's a pretty beastly tune. Anyways, that's it. Whew. Oh, okay. Number 90 in the books. Enjoy your week. I'll catch you later. Bye.